Kind of About Music podcast.
Hi, welcome to the podcast. How you doing, man?
I'm good, brother. How are you, man?
I'm good. We just, you saying people don't want to hear about football on the music podcast, but I don't know about that. We were just enjoying Manu's win over, comeback over City.
I mean, it is called Kind of About Music.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm sure we can link football back to music. We can find some long, convoluted way to link football back to music.
Well, here's a good one. I got done with an April Fool's joke the other day. I just shouldn't really admit this, but we've got this thing called Muso Football where a lot of the session musicians in London, we play footy in Chiswick.
Are you serious?
So if you're down for it,
you better sign me up to that. Yeah,
man, yeah. So it's a bit of a trek to get across there, but so every year they do an April Fool's thing, and I totally forgot. And somebody was like, "Oh yeah, I just met Wayne Rooney at this gig last night, and he's up for coming down to Muso Football." Like, and in my defence, I said, "I can't tell if this is real or not."
Yeah.
But I put my name down just in case, and then it's like, yeah, April Fool's.
That's big.
Dude, man, yeah. But imagine if he did come down. That'd be great.
And then you had a concert afterwards. What instrument would Wayne Rooney play? Would he be a drummer?
Yeah, I think so. I think it'd have to be drums. Drums or bass.
Yeah.
He's got the face of a bass player, I think.
Face of the bass.
Khaya, man, I met you at Piano Works. You're one of the regular piano playing singers at Piano Works in Studio 88, man.
Yeah.
It's been an absolute blast doing some gigs with you down there, man. It's like, the energy when you're there, totally different.
I'm an entertainer first. That's what I have, you know. I just happen to be able to string a few chords together on the piano. But
yeah, man. Dude, it's big. That's a scary gig to do on piano as well, man, because you don't... I know you've got some kind of set stuff that you do regularly, but you don't know what's going to come up in terms of... Because it's all audience requests. It's that sort of gig, isn't it? So,
yeah. Well, I've been there for about 2 years now.
Yeah.
So I joined Piano Works about 6 months after it opened.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think those are the most nerve-wracking times for me. Like, I would literally get like such nerves and such jitters before going up, you know, because it's also the first time that I've, you know, done a gig as a keyboard player and singer, because I originally started out in musical theatre.
Yeah, man. I was going to get around to asking about that because you was on the Lion King.
I was on the Lion King, yeah. Dude. So I was in Hong Kong for 2.5 years, and then I was on the UK tour for a year and a half. Which also included Switzerland. I lived in Switzerland for 8 months, and then I did the West End for 1 year.
Amazing, man! Dude, you might have been there when I went to see it. Me and the missus went. I'm not that into musicals. Is not my thing per se, but the Lion King one, it just like the goosebumps. Because you and when we've done the Piano Works gigs, you and Lee, when you're on together, you do the whole intro
the whole
to Lion King
spiel. That's where me and Lee met, actually. Me and Lee Ormsby, yeah.
Dude, it's so fantastic. And when I went to see the show, it's like, I'm enjoying this. This is great. And the production's so good. Like,
it's incredible. Like, I mean, the amount of creativity that goes into that show, you know, not just musically, but I mean, everything from the sets to the props, you know, the costumes and all of that. And, you know, and they've got a designated department, you know, for each of those, on at the theatre, and it's so crazy the amount of work that goes into everything there.
Yeah, it looks like it, man. I went to see the Thriller one, the Michael Jackson one.
Yeah,
I don't know. Do you know anybody on that one? Before
you see, in musical theatre, and I think it's the same in the muso reel. I probably know someone who knows someone on that show.
Right. Okay.
I have a friend. Yeah, I have a friend of a friend who's in that show.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't know anyone you do know someone who knows someone.
Yeah. It's weird. Some of the guys who are turning up and doing playing in a band down at Piano Works in Studio 88 now, it's like I've known them from other places. Like, oh, fucking hell, dude, you're there. Like, nice to see it. Like Rich Zabrowski, a bass player.
Yes.
He's amazing, really super young, super nice guy, but just totally on it and stuff. And I've done a couple of other different gigs with him as well. So yeah, it's an absolute blast. But what I was going to ask you, what are the lyrics at the start of The Lion King, and what do they mean?
Nancy Gonya.
Yeah. Am I putting you on the spot here? Or?
You are putting me on the spot here. But no, it means there is a lion, my people.
Oh right, okay, yeah. It's such a dramatic thing because it's actually different from the film. The music's actually different from the film on the.
Yeah, it is different from the film. Yeah. It was
just kind of arranged a little bit.
Yeah, arranged a little bit differently.
Yeah.
But and also there are songs that appear in the show that don't appear in the movie.
Right, of
every
course,
song
yeah.
that appears in the movie appears in the show.
Yeah.
But not every song in the show appears in the movie.
Right, okay.
Because I mean, you have the whole what they don't show in the movie, for example, is Nala leaving the Pride Lands.
Right, okay.
When Nala's like, I've had enough of this.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, Scar's taking over. You know, there's a scene where before she leaves, and Scar, like the last straw is where Scar basically tries to rape her.
Right,
Like,
okay. And that is in the show, not the movie.
That's in the show, yeah, not in the movie. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then there's a beautiful song called Shadowland.
Yeah.
Which
Yes, I remember
which
that
Nala
one.
sings.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Really beautiful song. And yeah. So that's in the show, but not in the movie.
Yeah.
So it's
It's a fantastic. So it's one of the better Disney. For like, obviously, like everyone else grew up listening, watching Disney films. But
Yeah.
I just thought that was one of the better ones. And when I've looked, there's like, it's kind of like a remake of kind of the Egyptian kind of God's myth, origin story sort of thing, Set and Ra and all that sort of thing. So it's got like a long heritage, and it's very
yeah.
It's got a lot going on in it. You know?
There's a rumor or a myth that it was actually ripped off from a I think it was a Japanese cartoon called Kimba the White Lion. And the storyline, I mean, I don't know much about it. I've only seen it on like, I don't know, there was like a Reddit video or a BuzzFeed video or something like that. But it's basically the same story.
Yeah. But it's an old story. That's the thing. That's obviously ripped off stories that have come through. There's a guy called Jordan Peterson as well who has been in the news for kind of getting in trouble and defending himself about saying stuff about the gender pay gap and all that. He's like a kind of political guy, but he does a series of lectures on looking at the kind of the psychological depth of the story and stuff. And I don't even know if the stuff that he's pulling out of it is there or if he's just kind of extrapolating different things. But it's such an amazing story anyway that I think it's one of the better ones. And the musical production in the West End is fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, a lot. That's from gigging. You know, now like Pierre works Studio 88. You know, people didn't know if I was part of the band or if I was part of the ensemble. You know.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no. I mean,
at the Lion King?
No, but like if I say to people, I worked at the Lion King. You know, what did you do? And then I say, no, I was one of the singers.
Yeah.
You know, but some people thought, maybe I was in the pit. You know, maybe I was in the orchestra pit.
Oh, right, okay, yeah. Is it true that you don't get the singers and the musicians hardly ever see each other in those places?
Yeah, because it's just a different type of gig because of that. You know what I mean? It's like the musos, you know, you turn up, you play your gig, and then you leave, you know. But then the singers, you know, who also have to dance and who also have to act, you know. If you're
so you're actually on the stage and doing all of the acting and the dancing as well. Then, right? Incredible, yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, so you have your male and female singers, and you have your male and female dancers.
Right.
The dancers do have to be able to sing.
Yeah.
Not necessarily to a level of a professional singer.
Yeah.
And also, and vice versa, the singers do have to be able to move. You do have to be able to keep the rhythm and do certain movements and things like that. Because there are certain parts in the show where everyone's on stage together. You know, we have to do synchronized dance movements. You know, or the dancers are doing something a bit more intense, but you know, you still have to do. You have to have rhythm.
Well, it's a show. Yeah. But so I was going to get onto your EP that you've got coming out soon. But this is a world I don't know about at all. This musical world, so I'm fascinated by this. So, and you're the kind of one of the first people I've got to talk to about it. So we will get onto your EP. But
no, it's cool, man.
Let me ask you. What was I going to say? How did you actually start off along that path? Then is that something where you went to theatre school and?
I didn't actually go to theatre school. I went to choir school.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm half South African. My dad's South African, and my mom's British. My mom was born in Stratford-on-Avon.
Right. Okay.
My dad was born in a township, a shanty town, called Bickersdale, which is west of Johannesburg.
Okay.
Yeah, and
they met over here.
They met over here. My dad was in political exile. That's how he ended up in the UK.
Right.
Because at that time, you know, I mean, he would have been about my age or just a little bit younger.
Yeah.
And they were trying to, you know, send as many young, intelligent black people. They were trying to get them out of the country, you know. So he was in the refugee camps in Tanzania. for a few months, and then he was actually supposed to go to Russia.
No way.
But there was a mess up with his paperwork, and he ended up in the UK.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, he's got someone looking out for him. I think.
You know what I mean? Well, I don't know. Maybe my name could have been Vladimir. You never know. I think I would have made a good Vladimir.
Yeah, dude. I don't doubt it for a second, but that climate, fuck me.
Yeah, no, I can't live with that. I much prefer South Africa. I'm even struggling to deal with this.
Yeah, and so South Africa is not a place where you grew up, but have you been back? Did you go there regularly?
I did sort of grow up there. When I was born here in London, and then when I was 6, we immigrated back to South Africa because the plan for my dad was always to go back home, to South Africa. So I lived in South Africa for 13 years.
Yeah.
So
what was that like? Because I know growing up on a council estate in Rotherham. That's what I know.
Yeah.
Probably different.
It's weird, man, because it was great because I really got to experience. And I only realized this looking back at it. You don't realize it at the time, but I really got to experience the birth of a nation, as it were.
Okay,
because it'll be things like like my name is Khaya Masego.
Right.
That's a South African name.
Okay.
But then I'd go to school, and I'd be in the English classes. The English classes would be mixed, black kids and white kids. But the black kids would usually come from the poorer parts of the town. We lived in a small town called Secunda when we first moved there. Right. So they would come from, either out of town or the extensions, which we would call them. So they would have you'd have Secunda Extension 22, or Secunda Extension 18 or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, then the white kids, they usually come from the more affluent neighborhoods, So, but I was privileged enough to live in, in the more affluent side of the town. Because my dad was headhunted by a big company, and he was brought back to, so we landed in South Africa. We were sorted out with a house, we were sorted out with a car, all of that, you know what I mean? So, but it was things that, when I go to school, and I'm just imagining this from the other kids' perspective, but it's like, well, he's kind of got dark skin like us, but he's got a straight nose like a white guy, and he's got a black name, but he speaks English, not necessarily like a white person, because white people or Afrikaans people, they will speak English with a different accent. So he speaks English like, I don't know, we haven't heard anyone speak English like that before.
Who is this guy?
You know what I mean? But it's like, in my own weird little way, I was like, I like to think of myself as I was the whole crux of the whole idea of apartheid being
nonsense.
Bullshit.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. I mean, this is I think as we go on and stuff like that, I'm in a mixed race relationship. My missus is Pakistani. Yeah. She was telling me actually about when her dad came across and how they didn't know the language. Not only did not know the language, but they didn't know the numbers because their numbers is different.
Right.
So when they were trying to explain to each other what bus to take, they'd say for number 8, they'd say the one with the eyes and stuff like that.
That's deep. Yeah.
And her dad built a business and a whole that sustained their family for a long time. And you think about kind of difficulties of coming. I found it difficult coming down to London from the north, and that puts into perspective. This guy, came from the other side of the world and couldn't even do anything, speak any of the language, Yeah. And I think and she talks about when she's growing up, she was she experienced a lot of stuff to do with people shouting stuff in the street if she was with her mum, not if she was with her dad and stuff like that. So, but eventually, it's going to be a case where everybody's fucking everybody and everybody ends up
it is
basically the same. So
and so that was so growing up in South Africa for me, it was cool because it was my when we moved to Johannesburg, big city, it was that we were the only black people. Obviously not my mom, but being part of the family, of course. So my dad and me and my 2 sisters, we were the only black people that lived in our neighborhood that weren't cleaning people's houses.
Right.
You know what I mean? But then on the weekend, we'd go and visit my grandmother, and my cousins and aunties and uncles, and they all stay in Beckersdale where he was born. And that's. You go into one of the poorest of the poor areas in the country, and then weekdays we'd come back home, to our house. We lived in a nice house. We were very fortunate, to live in a nice house in a very nice area of Johannesburg. So it was cool because I got to experience things from both sides.
Yeah, of course.
So I got to experience, going. I got a chance to choose which school I wanted to go to. I got to go to really good schools. Pick which school I wanted to go to, but then also got to see the other side of things that people, most of the people. Most of the white people that went to the school with me, they wouldn't get to see that type of life.
Yeah.
See those type
How
of
do you
things.
feel that that's kind of shaped you in terms of your approach to music and to life? Because I personally find this career it can play havoc with your mental health a little bit because it's so stressful, and especially if you're in the world of auditions and that sort of thing, which in the musical theatre you will be.
Yeah.
And then you have the creative side and stuff, and that's obviously shaped by who you are growing up, what you've seen, what your views are politically, and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
How do you think, being that you've got an EP coming out, and is that something that you think, like, how do you think your life experience has come through and helped you or not helped you in your career? Big question.
It's a big
Floundering
question.
around. Can you tell that I'm not a trained interviewer?
Tomorrow we're on the Jim McGrother show.
This is it, yeah.
No, it's it was interesting because, look, going back to the first question, how I started singing, how I got into musical theatre. I was a choir boy originally.
Yeah.
So I went to this school called the Drakensberg Boys Choir School, situated in the valley of a mountain range.
Right.
The closest town was half an hour's drive away. The closest city was 2 hours drive away. It was real remote. And the first thing the teacher, it's from grade 4 to grade 9. So year 3 to year 8, I want to say.
Yeah.
I think. And then, the first thing they do there is to teach you to read music. And then after that, we have 2 hours of choir practice every day, 6 days a week. 6 days a week, yeah. And we were doing big works, like we performed, Karl Orff's Carmina Burana, Mozart Requiem, Handel's Messiah, like sang all of it, top to bottom. And we also had...
at the age of like 8 and 9.
You know what I mean? At the age of I think it was 9 to 15 was the age group that we had there.
Yeah.
And we were the only boys choir at the time because, we were essentially the southern hemispherical version of the Vienna Boys Choir.
Right.
But the Vienna Boys Choir, so far as I know, only do soprano and alto. We had all 4 voice groups.
Right.
Yeah. And it was intense, man. I got to tour all over the world. We did... we toured to the UK. I toured to Japan with them.
Wow.
I toured we went to the US with them in 2003. And we landed at JFK Airport and we did a 5-week tour in a bus. We started in Boston and we ended in Pasadena, California.
No way.
Yeah, so we stopped off in every state along the way for a concert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
American tour ticked off at the age of 14.
You know what I mean? At the age of 12, I was like, yep, done that.
That's some real stuff. Yeah.
And it was an amazing experience, and I always knew I wanted to sing, I knew what I wanted to do.
Were you one of those kids that be singing in the street and jumping around and doing all that?
It was more of like, because I was very lucky to be given a stage at that young age. When I was there, I was recognized as as an entertainer. I didn't really get to do like the proper choir solos. But if they needed someone to bust out like a Freddie Mercury or something, or okay, Khaya's your man.
Man's not hot.
You know what I mean? But yeah, we did. I'm gonna try to arrange a choir version of that. Yes. Yeah. Shout out to Big Shaq. That's my dream collaboration at the moment. If I can collaborate with Big Shaq. But and it was. Because I always had a mouth on me as well. So it's like, it didn't translate so well in the classroom.
Yeah.
It was like, oh yeah, your son's a naughty little shit. But on stage, like, he's got so much charisma. Cool.
To a kid, that's confusing, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, I knew what I wanted to do. But then there's the thing of going about it, you know what I mean? And I didn't really have anyone to show me how to pursue a career in music.
Yeah.
My cousin Brian Temba, he's an actor and a R&B star in South Africa.
Oh, wow.
He was on the West End Lion King before me. Actually,
right.
He actually played Simba there.
Right.
He also did it. He did it in Vegas as well, and he did it in the US.
Oh, amazing.
but he's the only person in my family that sort of has made a career out of music, you know,
Right.
and he was over here while I was in South Africa, you know, and that was sort of, you know, before sort of the technological revolution, you know, now where we have, you know, Wi-Fi and you know,
You do a podcast
and
in your living room.
you know, I mean, podcasts in your living room, you know, and like internet, you know, video chat is something that we use every day, you know. But I mean, you know, back then it was sort of, we, you know, you had mobiles, but it was still when your mobile phone had at least 12 buttons on it, you know what I mean? You know, so it wasn't really him that I could talk to or anything, you know. My dad wanted me to go study. I actually went to university after I finished school. I did my last 3 years of school singing for the South African Youth Choir. And then, you know, that was great as well. Toured with them to Canada. We went to the choir, not the Choir Olympics, the, oh God, what show was it? I know, some choir festival.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Where like loads of choirs from around the world.
Yeah, loads of choirs from around the world that come together there. So we did one in Llangollen in Wales, and then we did another one in Canada.
Yeah.
So that was wicked. And then, so after school, you know, my dad's, because my dad came from a situation where education was his only way out, you know, then my dad was an avid reader of poetry. He really loved reading and performing poetry. He was a good singer as well. You know, he sang with the ANC Youth Choir over here in the UK, you know, but, you know, I think for him, there was never an option for him of having that as a career. Whether he wants to do it or not, you know, I don't know.
Because because you've got you're the kind. Again, going back to my girlfriend talking about the first generation.
Exactly.
They have to nail it, or it's a mess.
Exactly. So you know, and that's what he was. He was the first generation. You know, when it came to my family, you know, you know, he was part of that. And you know, he has friends that went all over. You know, he has friends that, you know, went to Russia, that went to the USA, that went to, I mean, they literally sent them all over the world, you know. Some of them stayed, you know, where some of them stayed, some of them came home, you know, back to South Africa. Some of them are still living in South Africa. My dad went back to South Africa, and now he's back here in the UK, you know. So, so, oh God, I forgot my point.
Dude, don't worry, it happens all the time. Well, are you talking about you were doing the choir competition? How old are you at that point?
I was between 16 and 18 at that point. Yeah, 16
do you feel at that point when you're, because it seems like, especially on the first tour, like that age, I can't imagine that you felt there was the pressure and stuff like that. Whereas I think more people in the music industry now, session musicians, singers, artists, people in musical theatre and stuff like that. When you, like, how old are you at the moment?
I'm 27.
27, okay. It's when it starts to get really like, right, I need to make some proper money and all this sort of stuff. And this is not necessarily the industry that's the easiest. Even if you're doing really well, it's not the easiest to make massive amounts of money. But at that age, 15, 16, I imagine you're just kind of, it's fun.
Well, it's all fair to earn it, because money's not an issue. You know, at that point, you're just doing what you want. You know, you're just doing what you love, and then and you know, so even when I finished school, you know, my dad said, "Okay, look, I know you're good at this singing thing, but you have to go to university first."
Yeah. And what did you do at university?
I did mechanical engineering.
Really?
Yeah. I did it for 1 year, then I dropped out.
Is that what your dad did? Is that your dad?
My dad did mechanical engineering, but my dad's more of an intellect than a practical person.
Okay,
like,
right,
It's funny, you know, because it's weird. We studied the same thing. However, in the subjects that I excelled in, which was you know, we had a subject, a course, you know, called Mech 102 or 104, something like that. You know what I mean? It's basically just, you know, the basics of, because, you know, dismantling engines and things like that, you know, and technical drawing.
Right.
Those were the subjects that I excelled in, and those were the subjects that he struggled in when he was doing the same degree
more
as
hands-on
me.
practical sort of type,
you know, and you know, the maths, the physics, the statistics, the chemistry, you know, that's where it all fell flat for me. But those are the subjects that he excelled in. He was he later went on to become a maths teacher. That was his what he did after he graduated with his engineering degree. He then went to do his PGCE, and then he became a maths teacher. And he actually met my mom while he was doing his teacher training.
Right. Okay. Brilliant. Yeah.
So, you know, for him, that was education was his way forward. It was his way out. It was how he was going to make his way in this world, you know. And I know that he wanted the same thing. He just wanted what was best for me. You know. But as always, you know, when parents want the best for their kids, they're sometimes blinded by that. You know, it's very difficult, especially when you're at that age. You know, you sort of, you know, 18, 19 and what. There's actually a song about it on my upcoming EP called Growing Pains, which was which I wrote about 6-7 years ago, and that was sort of about that time in my life, you know, between 18 and 21. It focuses mainly on being 21, you know, and then sort of making that transition. There's a line in the song, you know, you're making the transition from a boy into a man. You know, because it's like, well, you in the real world now, you know, like 18, you're an adult after 18, but it's like adult light. You know what I mean? You don't pay grown people taxes. You know, whether you go to university or not, you know what I mean? You know, it's adult light, you know what I mean? And then 21 come and then it hits you like a brick wall, you know what I mean? Now you have to start making real money and you know, and your parents is getting older, and you know, my dad had a really bad cancer scare at the time, you know, and I was working in Hong Kong at the time. Yeah, because I got a job in my first year of uni. So basically, I started at uni, and I went to university as far away from home as I possibly could.
Okay, was that like deliberate?
That was deliberate. Yeah, that was on purpose. Yeah. My dad was like, I told my dad I'm taking a gap here. He's like, nah, not having it. No, line in the sand. Foot down, like there was no fighting him on that. So I was like, okay, fine. Now he wanted me to go to Wits, which is a Witwatersrand University. Okay. Yeah. So that was really close to my house, like right around the corner from my house.
Right.
But then the last 3 years of school, I was in Cape Town. I was at school in Cape Town. I was in boarding school there. I was in boarding school for 7 years.
Okay.
Yeah. And I also applied to go to university there.
Yeah.
So, you know, we were sitting down one day and he was like, so son, you just go to university. You're going to go to Wits around the corner, you know, and you'll stay at home and everything. And I'm like, this is bad. This is bad. And then I was like, hang on. You said I have to go to university. Yes. Can I go to any university? Because I applied to University of Cape Town. He's like, yeah, sure, go to University of Cape Town. I was like, sweet. Went to University of Cape Town and then, you know, it was great. You know, I mean, you know, like I said, I was in a very fortunate position. You know, he was a senior manager at the time. You know, so you know, he paid for my tuition, he paid for my accommodation, and all of that. You know, and I'm so grateful to him for that. Like eternally grateful to him for that. You know, I never took that for granted. But you know, sort of 2 months down the line, you know, when you're on that student budget, it's like, right, either I behave myself and I buy groceries and I cook for myself and I don't eat out all the time. Yep. But then you go out for one weekend and that's your whole budget just turned up on his head. And I got sick and tired of calling him halfway through every month. Be like, Dad, I need more money for groceries. But you know it's for drinking. So there was a restaurant right around the corner from where I used to live, in my student digs. And they called Stardust. And basically they hire singers as waiters.
Right, okay.
So you're waiting and then you wait in tables, but then like at like 20-minute intervals, they're like dim the lights and put a spotlight on the stage and then you'll start performing.
Yeah. Get your shirt off.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like da 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 da. You know, actually the place was colored bright pink and purple, so yeah, it was. Yeah,
right.
It was,
By some greasy old man.
And for New Year one time, I did an entire rendition of Sweet Transvestite from the Rocky Horror Picture Show wearing a pink boa scarf. Yes.
Fantastic. Is there any? I hope there's footage of that.
I don't even think there is. You know. This I told you this before the days of camera phones and whatnot. Yeah, you know? I think there's just a picture of it.
You got away with it. You don't
see the whole thing. But and that's where I sort of really started to cut my teeth as a performer, because it got to the point there where I was sort of choosing my own repertoire. And
right.
I was
Okay.
Like, right. What song works for this? What song works? You know, and you know, very similar to to how I'm seeing it. Piano works in Studio 8C. You know, I was that guy. You know, I was the crazy guy. I was the loud guy. I was the guy that would get up there and get the crowd pumping and all that. You know, and you know, I would sing the crazy out there songs.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a huge thing because it's not something that all singers and all performers have. That kind of confidence and just kind of a recklessness to kind of do that. But it's the thing that the audience absolutely wants to see.
Yeah, you know, it's you know, look, every performer has, you know, there's something special, the unique ingredient, you know, and you know, mine is that I'm a showman.
Yeah,
that's what I do, you know.
As I say, when you turn up at the Piano Works and get on top of the table on the piano and everything and start shouting at them, they love it, and it totally changes the whole energy of it, and it's brilliant. It's like a priceless kind of skill to have, because if it's a natural thing, or maybe it's just a thing that you fostered early, but if you don't do that early, like I do singing gigs and playing stuff, but I'm definitely not that guy. I can't make myself be that guy.
Well, I mean, look, it's getting back to what I said, it's like it is something that I fostered, and it is something that I've worked on, but at the same time, it's something that I'm born with, and it's it's like, if you know the Bible, it's the parable of the 10 talents, isn't it?
Okay.
You either bury what you got in the sand,
right,
and don't use it, and you don't use the gifts that you've been given by whatever deity you believe in.
Yeah.
Or if you go out and you share these gifts with the world, they will multiply.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your self-worth will multiply, your wealth will multiply, your sense of purpose will multiply,
I think, do you know what, I'm not a Christian myself, but I do, the guy that I mentioned earlier, and I'm sure a lot of people have seen and heard of him, Jordan Peterson. He's got these lectures on the Bible and going through the Bible stories, and how basically talking about what do these stories mean, and what can you take out of them psychologically for your own life, because he goes a bit down the self-help path and all that sort of thing. And lessons like that are really important. And just because maybe you don't believe in that particular God, or that you don't read that version of the book, or whatever it is, it doesn't mean that story, like, that's a story that hundreds of people worked on that story for hundreds of years, maybe thousands of years, until it ended up in the Bible, which is like a library of knowledge, basically.
Yeah, that's what it is,
Yeah, placed in the setting of Christianity and that area of the world.
Yeah.
But a thing like that is something that I think performers do forget, and I'm certainly the sort of person who does. You second guess yourself. Oh. I get, being from the north, or maybe it's just me, but I'm very cynical about a lot of stuff. Like my mind can go, especially about my own things, a lot of time. And I have to fight to battle that. But that lesson that you're just talking about there is something that, it's you have to do it, because if you don't, if you're creative and you don't do that, you go nuts.
And that's my outlet. I'm very lucky, because I've got that. I've got the singing chops to back it up as well. Yeah. That's the thing. It's not just. I'm not just getting up and yelling yelling through the mic, and it's a combination of things, you're performing a song that you love, you're performing a timeless song, and you work with and you've got a band of incredible musicians playing behind you, they're at full chap and you're at full chap, and the song, the crowd's there, and they're having a great time, what I mean, and that's what gives me the energy. What I mean? Because I can tone it down, and I can chill it out. I can sit at the piano and just just hold the room nicely, and it's I bring it out when I need to bring it out. You know what I mean?
And that's the skill as well, knowing to do that. But I think it's not just it's for yourself that you have to go and do that, and do your creative endeavors and try and express yourself properly. But it's not just for yourself; it's for the world as well. Because what would it be like if Prince never did that first album, or what would it be like if I don't know, take any example that you want. It's selfish to not actually have a go at it if you've got the idea to do it. So I think there's a lot to be said for that sort of thing, for sure. So your EP then, you've just finished it. Tell us about the writing of that, and the how you went about producing it, what's coming up for you, and all that sort of stuff.
So the EP is called Better Late Than Never.
Right, okay.
It's called that because I have, and I think anyone who, whether you dabble in music, whether it's your full-time career, we all have projects that we started and that we just don't finish.
Mate, yeah.
All them, what I mean? All those half-written songs in your journal, or all those halfway, all those almost there beats on on your digital audio workstation or your own Logic or Pro Tools or whatever you use, all them times you sat down at the piano and you've kind of got the melody, but it's not really there yet, or those half-finished songs and whatnot, and it got to the point where I was looking back on everything I had, because we always trying to find the next thing, you know what I mean? Oh, this next song is gonna be the best song I've ever written. And I was trying to find the next best song for myself without having taken all of my previous material to its full potential, and all of the songs on the EP were songs that were written, between 5 to 7 years ago.
Right.
And I thought, I was in a place where now I had the time, I'd left the Lion King, so I had a lot more time on my hands. I was working consistently with fantastic musicians like yourself, and the piano works, and there's like yourself and the rest of the team that we have at the House of Song.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what, the time is right now. So I had all of them in demo form. The ones that weren't finished, I finished them, and I approached 5 musicians from the Piano Works. Jimmy Goodwin,
who's a genius.
Yes, he is. He is a G and a genius. And so basically, it was me and him were sort of spearheading the whole project. We recorded it at his studio.
Yeah.
We worked on the mixing, we worked on the arrangements.
I just imagine that he always had a glass of whiskey next to him at all times.
Yeah, well, we keep it gangster. Much whiskey, much beer, and much weed was consumed during it, and much KFC and Sainsbury's meal deals. Shout out to Jimmy.
Yeah.
And so on guitar I had Dan Clark.
Yep.
Drums I had Mark Saville.
Yep.
On bass I had Ellen O'Reilly.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's going to be on the podcast in the next couple of weeks, I think.
Oh, is she? Oh, wicked. Yeah.
I'm just finishing her. I do a bit of website design on the side. I'm just finishing her website for her as well.
Fantastic.
So yeah, she's done some. She's incredible.
She is amazing. She laid down that funk with the bass, and then I had Karen on trumpet.
Yeah.
That was only for one of the tracks, but it was it was a very crucial part of the track, a very important part of the track. So she arranged the trumpet part for that. And to be honest, not much. If you listen to the original demos, I think 1 or 2 of them are on SoundCloud, and then you compare them to the finished product. They actually haven't changed a lot in terms of arrangement.
Right.
But everyone brought their own unique spin on it.
When you were doing the demos, is that something you did kind of in Logic and
that's something I did on Logic.
Programming drums, or you play the drum because you play drums as well?
I do play drums, yeah, but I mean all of it basically I just did on Logic. With I started off in GarageBand and then moved up to Logic. Yeah. So all the demos I did were on Logic.
Logic Drummer. Did you use the Logic Drummer thing or?
No, not even. I program all the drum myself.
Right, fantastic. Yeah.
So drums is an instrument that I dabble in. So I can be a bit more meticulous with it.
Yeah.
As with the keys, I play a bit of keys. And with the bass, it's easy to come up with a good bass line when you're working with the MIDI keys. But, to actually translate that onto a bass guitar and to actually really make it sound authentic and natural, that was difficult.
Yeah.
So...
And so the vibe of it, because I saw the video that you've done, is it kind of, it's got like an R&B feel. Is that the vibe of the EP?
That's the vibe of the first track. It's 4 completely different tracks.
Okay.
So the first one is called Daily, Nightly, and Ever So Rightly.
Yes. That's the one that you've got the
That's
live
the one with the
video
YouTube video. Yeah, the YouTube video online for that one, which we actually did. Which we actually did not far from here. We did an EP showcase because I thought the EP would be ready a lot sooner. It wasn't. So it turned out it went from an EP launch to an EP showcase.
Yeah.
But we did that at Paper Dress Vintage, which is in Hackney Central.
Paper Dress Vintage. Yeah, that's just that little. It's just up. It's literally if you walk that way.
Literally just up the road here. Yeah. So we did it there on October the 9th last year.
Yeah.
That was an amazing night. I had my acoustic band there. We had an acoustic 3-piece acoustic band. Me and 2 friends from the Lion King.
Yeah.
MK, he played the acoustic bass.
Yeah.
He's now on tour. He's now on the Lion King World Tour. He's playing Mufasa. They're in Manila at the moment.
Wow.
And then Danny Kidson plays the ukulele and she sings.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. And she's lovely. And So yeah, we had that band doing sort of the first act, and then I had my band, the aforementioned musicians, doing my material, and then with some few covers in between.
Yeah.
And
great.
it was amazing. It was such an amazing night.
Yeah. Because that's quite a small place as well, isn't it?
It is a small
you can
place.
get quite a lot of people into it, and then you get.
Look, that's the thing.
vibe.
Nobody knows who I am yet as an artist. They don't know my name, they don't know my face, they don't know my music. So what's the point in trying to get a 600 capacity venue when you know that only 12 people are going to turn up? You know what I mean? So it was very intimate.
I'm sure more than 12 people.
More than 12 people did turn up, and a huge love to everyone that did turn up.
But I'm sure one of the main things for you is I want to see what this sounds like live and what this feels like live.
Yeah.
It's and to see because that will give you a good indication of how you feel about. I mean, that would be after you've recorded most of the EP, I imagine.
I'll have to record most of the EP. Yeah, basically.
But it's going to give you that kind of.
Well, it was great because we knew what we needed to do, and it was a very rushed process, and I'm a very impulsive person, so it's sort of like, right, I'm gonna put this together, and I'm gonna have the concert, and we're gonna do this, and it became so rushed in the end, but we pulled it off, which is what. And in a way, I attribute that to what we do, to what Piano Works has taught us, to improvise, to sort of and get, to get things together, So it was
do it on the fly.
Yeah, but it was more than just a jam session, because they had the demos, they had recorded their parts, they understood what the music needed to sound like, what we needed to do. We had a couple of rehearsal sessions as well, so it was cool, and so after we had finished, and it was great because I got to record, audio and visual on that night.
Yeah.
And it was cool because I could then go back to the EP after that, which was still under construction, and be like, right, this worked really well.
Yeah.
This didn't work so well. Let's add this. Let's take that out. We need to bring, we had to bring Dan back in again because there were some great parts that we had found from the show that we hadn't put on the EP, Right. So, and that was great. It was really a chance to experiment with the songs, because it's so hard, when you can have a direction for a song and you can have it plotted out perfectly in your head. Say everything must be like this and this and this and this, and you lay down the keys and you lay down the bass and you lay down the drums and you lay down the guitar, and you get to your finished product and it's like there's something missing. It's not, So it's great to work with great musicians like that, but it's also great to to get out there to perform and stuff. And that really helped with the whole process.
It must make it real as well, because you can have these, as you say, you can have these songs on your laptop and stuff for years and years and years, and then to actually I've played them at a show. Then this is a real thing.
And that was my thing. I was sitting back and looking at when I conceived this whole idea of coming up with this EP. I was like, well, I'm gonna sit and look at my laptop in, the first song from the EP, the one that was written the longest time ago was Growing Pains, which is the third one, the one I was talking about earlier, about me being 21. I wrote that when I was in Hong Kong.
Yeah. I
was working at Hong Kong Disneyland at the time.
Yeah.
Like I said, my dad, had a really bad cancer scare, I was in a lucky position, because I didn't have much worries on that side of the pond, because, I had a great job at Disney, the paycheck was cool and, everything was great, and I was just partying and, but then it was, I went through things like like heartbreak and things like that. What I mean? It's the things that your parents, that nobody in life can really prepare you for.
No.
You know what I mean? And I was and not doing things because I was malicious, but doing things that just silly things. You know what I mean? Like things that try to be with two women at once. And not taking people's feelings into consideration. Trying to drink my problems away, trying to smoke my problems away, and all of that. You know what I mean? And it's a real. That track's a hip hop track. Actually, I actually rap on that one.
Awesome.
And so that was a song that I wrote first, and I was gonna look at all of those songs that were on my laptop, that were in my Logic files, and I was gonna say, well, what have I done with this?
Yeah.
And I did not want this to be just all of these things just to be unfinished projects.
Yeah, that nobody ever gets to hear.
Exactly, and I think it's difficult. It's a big step to take, because doing anything as a musician, you're putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
you, no matter how many people you're getting up in front of, you know, whether you're selling out Wembley or you're doing a little acoustic set at your local, you know, you're getting up there in front of people, bare bones naked to the world, and saying, "This is what I've got.
Yeah, and this is who I am, and
this is who I am. This is, you know," and it's scary, you know. It's really scary, you know.
Particularly when you're singing and fronting something, I think, and then even more so if it's your own material.
Well, you know what? I mean, I know that wasn't the scary part. I mean, I know I can understand it could be the scary part for other people. I've never had a problem with being the showman, you know, with being the front man of the band, or being, but it's just letting out that part of you, you know, that the part that was inspired to create that music, the creative part of you, and you want people to like your music. You want your music to be good, you know, and it's scary because you're subjecting yourself to the criticism of the entire world.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
you're subjecting yourself to the criticism of every person whose ear that music falls on, you know, and they'll either hate it or they'll love it.
Yeah, I find that most of the time that the people that the things that you worry about, oh, is this going to be something that people go, I don't know if I can say that. That's often the things that connect with people the most.
Yeah,
and you're your own worst critic by far.
Yes.
You know, like when I was starting this podcast, it was the same thing. I was talking to friends of mine, and I was like, I don't know if this is a daft idea or a good idea. Like, people are going to say, "Oh, does he think he is Joe Rogan or something like that?" Like,
but you just got you know, you'll hate yourself even more if you don't do it.
That's it. You have to have the bravery to stand up and do it and speak properly and try and face it and face the kind of the fear of possible rejection and all that. And say, "Oh, do you know, I don't really care. It's not, if it does go wrong, it's something that in a couple of months no one's going to remember anyway." So
well, I mean, look, it's no. If what's great is you need to have the right people around you. You know, you need to have people that not gonna say, because look, I mean, the world is full of haters. You know what I mean, I watch a lot of YouTube, and sometimes I think people, I literally think there's a small group of people and they live in a compound somewhere. I don't know where, but we will find. And literally, their whole entire life's purpose is just to go and dislike people's YouTube videos. And it's dislike.
whoever does that,
you know what I mean?
Like,
so. But you know, so yeah, they're gonna be the haters. They're gonna be, but you know, what you really want, you want the critics.
Yeah.
You don't want the haters. You want the critics, and you want, you know, the people around you that are gonna say, right, listen, this is not that good. This is how you can improve. Because there'll be so many people that say, oh, that shit.
Yeah. That's no.
Why is it shit? I don't know. It's just shit.
Yeah.
Can you help me improve? Nah, shit.
Yeah.
You know, so. That's, you know, and I feel like we're so afraid to fail, because everything that we're fed, you know, through our iPads, through our phones, through TV, through media, through every media front, it's everything must be perfect and
polished.
You know what I mean? And we must strive for perfection. And everything that we must do has to be perfect.
Yeah,
you know.
And actually, a lot of the times, the things that connect with people again is the things that aren't perfect. Some of my favorite albums, there's mistakes and in the guitar play, even some of the solos.
First try, you know what I mean? You know, and but if you don't, you don't have anywhere. You won't have anywhere to go if you don't. If you don't try, you know. It's, you know, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
that's what it is, you know. And I feel like so many people are scared to put their music out there. They're scared to fail. They're scared to.
Yeah. I was talking to my girlfriend last night about a project that she's thinking of doing, and she was like, "Oh my," because she's not really in the creative world at all. She's a social worker, and she has it's such an important job what she does as well. And she kind of looks down on it sometimes. I'm like, no, this is like real stuff. You're like saving people's lives and stuff.
Yeah.
And she's talking about doing something creative, and I was talking to her, and I was the normal brainstorming kind of thing. Oh, you could do this and this, and she got to a point where she was like, you need to stop because my head feels like it's going to fall off. Is this what you feel like all the time with ideas and creative ideas and all that sort of thing? I was like, yeah. And she's like, I don't know where to start with. You've given me too much. She's like, well, forget about all this. You've got these 2 little steps that you can take. Try that and see where you go. I was going to ask you about the thing was and this is something that I think I'm starting to really kind of learn and focus on, is the idea of getting people involved with your project. I think when you're writing stuff, it's very easy to kind of go, I'm going to create Thriller on my own. Do you know what I mean?
You know
I'm
what I mean?
I'm Dr. Dre, and I'm gonna fucking create the whole thing on my own. Which I found out recently, he didn't do half of the stuff what you think he does.
No.
So
No.
he's got a whole team around him, and you bringing your friends in and making it, opening it up. That must be a big thing.
It is big, but look, they're not only friends; they're musicians that I respect.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a healthy balance between that. And you know, and I know that those people hold me in the same regard. I am both a friend, but they also respect what I do as a musician and as a performer.
Yeah, and they're there to help you. Not
so when I approached them with these demos, I said, look, I want to take this from that to something where I can put out something that, you know, I could sell. Maybe not necessarily sell, but just put out there for the world to hear. Yeah. And, you know, I think we can make this sound really great. And, you know, bless them. They all said, yeah, we're on board. Let's do this, you know. And the whole purpose of this EP is just to try and create a buzz, try and create a hype, you know, and say, look, this is who I am. This is what I got. Yeah. You know, I've got my musicians, you know, and let's just try and make this music. You know?
Yeah, man. I find if you can do that and open it up to other people and let go of some of the control, you get back much bigger rewards from the input of others. I mean, you still can decide and edit what ideas come through because it's your vision and all that. And the worst thing as well is when you have a project where you send something to somebody and say, you just want to hear, is this shit or not? And then they start saying, I think you need to redo this. Like the critic, but the wrong type of critic who say, this is totally wrong, you need to do it. It's like, no, this is how I want it.
You need to find a perfect balance between what your vision is, you know, and what the people that you're bringing on have to offer.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. There are certain, you know, because there'll be certain parts in any project where you'll be like, you know, okay, I know what I want. And this is what I want. And you must play this at this time on this bar. Da, da, da.
Yeah.
Here, you know, throw some ideas at me. Yeah. Spitball, you know, or, you know, do it like, you know, I say it with Dan a lot because, you know, I think Dan Clark's an incredible guitarist. And he, you know, and I love his guitar solos.
Yeah,
you know, and, you know, at the time I was listening to a lot of Slash.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, so
he was my hero growing up. Slash is like,
man. my sister got me onto him. You know, she listened to a lot of Guns N' Roses, and then you know he started bringing out his solo albums. You know, with you know with his collaborations with artists and whatnot. You know, so I was listening to a lot of Slash at the time. So I was like, you know, I want a big guitar solo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, and it's you just got to know. You need to get the right people around you. That's what it is. You know?
I think that's always.
And it takes
the most
time to find the right people. You know, I'm very lucky because I work in an environment where I get to work with musicians like this every day.
Yeah.
Like I can go to Piano Works or Studio 88 and have, you know, proper top class musicians, you know, behind me in the band.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great casting.
It is, you know, and I think people.
But you always get something different from playing with the different kind of combinations of musicians as well. You get like the drummer is the thing that changes it massively as well. Like different drummers you play with, and figuring out as a player in the band, you know, like just even daft stuff as like how are they going to end the song, and then you get used to how particular drummers end particular things, and stuff that at the start you were like, I don't really know what that guy's trying to do, and then you actually get to. It's such an education, you know, and I'm sure for singing and piano it is there as well.
Absolutely.
When are you next there? When are you next down at Piano Works?
Tuesday, Wednesday.
Oh, Piano Works on Tuesday, tomorrow night.
No, I'm at Studio 88.
I'm at Piano Works tomorrow night.
I'm at Studio 88 Tuesday, Wednesday. Piano Works on Friday and Studio 88 on Saturday. Yeah.
I might bump into you on Friday or Saturday. I can't remember what I've got in, but no. So Wednesday. So the EP you went and then mastered it at Metropolis.
At Metropolis, yeah.
So what did that involve? Was it just listening? Was that in there with an engineer?
Yeah. So in there with a mastering engineer.
Yeah.
You know, specific mastering.
The dark arts.
Yeah. You know. Yeah. Exactly. You know, these massive. You know, is it PMC monitors?
Right.
Yeah. Like literally, they're like up to the roof. Like it's massive, you know. And then, man, it's in this amazing suite with all these knobs and buttons that I don't know what they do. And
He'd probably just gone onto Logic and just like EQ'd like a little bit.
you know,
2K
that's just
out.
right, volume up. That's it.
yeah. It's like just when you're not looking, just kind of slides in and
You
get
know,
that compressor up. That's it. It's done. Go.
Yeah, it walks around the room for the rest of the time. No, it was great. It was because I've never had a record mastered before. You know, so it was a really great experience.
What was the difference before and after? Was it a massive kind of?
It was louder.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I mean, it's, you know, we recorded everything quite soft, you know, and then when the files come out, you know, of your digital audio workstation, you know, they can be quite soft, you know, when you convert them straight over to MP3. So, you know, so you need mastering to sort of lift the levels up into. But yeah, man, it just brings everything out, you know what I mean? It makes,
bring it to life a bit and add this kind of sparkle.
Brings it to life a little bit, you know what I mean? And it's you don't know what to expect. Like I listen, you know, I listen back to them afterwards, and you know, I'll give it one listen. I'm like, oh, this sounds amazing, and then I'll give it a listen again, and I'm like, but does it sound that good though? And you know, it's going back to us being our own worst critics, you know, and also, but it goes to me not having experience with this, you know, I don't know what any song sounded like before mastering. You know, I haven't had that privilege to be in that position where I had access to those kind of files. You know?
Of course. Yeah.
So it's just all a learning curve. It's all a learning experience for the next one. You know, whatever I feel is right on this album, whatever I feel is wrong on this album, people might agree with me, people might disagree with me. You know, the stuff that I thought didn't turn out so well might be what they love. The stuff that I thought was brilliant might be stuff that didn't work out so well. But you know, it's all a learning curve, innit?
Yeah,
you know, I can't want to be, you know, a performer and be a singer and and be on stages with my own band performing my own music if I don't, you know, have a bit of trial and error. You know, have to do a bit of trial and error.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. It's so important, and as you say, perfection's all right to kind of have as a kind of a loose aim, but you have to finish something off and go on to the next project. And I'm sure your EP is amazing. Where can people get it? Where's the best place to get it?
It's available. So I used a really great, you know, for anyone who is looking to release, I used a site called Ditto.
Ditto?
Yeah, ditto.co.uk. And they handle all of the distribution of that. You can choose what stores you want it on. You can choose when you want it to be released, all of that. So
is like an expensive kind of process?
It's not, no.
That?
To sign up for a single artist is £19 a year.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah.
And I think it's... to release your music is free.
Yeah.
To make it eligible for the charts, for the UK charts, you have to pay another £25 on top of that for each release.
Okay.
But yeah, otherwise it's not a ridiculously expensive
That's amazing.
place to get your music out there. It's going to be on all the major streaming services: Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music. It will be able for Apple Music streaming, purchasing on iTunes, Tidal, Google Play, Amazon Music, and iTunes Radio.
Awesome.
Those are all the platforms.
And that's out now?
No, it's going to be out tomorrow.
Which is when this is going to get released.
Yes. So yeah, 10th.
10th, yeah, yes. Tuesday the 10th. So you should
Tuesday
be
the 10th.
And what's your website?
Should be released at midnight.
Because you'll be have the links on your website.
I will have the links on the website. So my website is www.KhayaMusic. That's KHAYAMUSIC.
Yeah.
.co.uk. That's how you spell music, right? Yeah.
I was thinking it was your second name that you were spelling out. I was like, oh, that's how you say it.
KhayaMusic.co.uk.
Yeah.
Have all my information on there, all my gigs, my bio, if you want to say hi to me and all of that. Yeah. And
so you've got Piano Works coming up. Have you got any other gigs coming up with the original stuff or anything?
Not at the moment. Just focusing on the release, building up the hype on the release. You know, want to get sort of packages together to send off to, you know, management companies, recording companies, things like that, you know. And then gonna start rehearsing with the band again, and hopefully try and make it onto the festival circuit next year. That's
fantastic, mate.
That's the goal, you know. And then the goal is to keep writing, you know, to work with, to collaborate with other people as well. You know, I'm not the most prolific of writers. You know, I'm a performer first and foremost. I'm a singer first and foremost. You know, so also looking for people to collaborate with, looking for people to write for me, looking for people to write with, looking for people to work with, and just looking to finish more unfinished projects and keep making new projects.
Yes, mate. That's right. That's definitely an important thing to do, is to kind of set yourself goals to get it done regularly and get those things finished. But dude, thank you so much for coming down, man. I think
thanks for having me, man.
We've
It's
done about
been
an hour
wicked.
or maybe a bit more, but thank you so much. And it's khayamusic.co.uk.
That's correct, yeah.
The EP is out tomorrow,
Yep.
which is when this will be released. So go and check
so
it out.
the 10th, yeah.
And come and see Khaya down at Piano Works as well. And you might see me at the background.
Hopefully.
Trying to keep up with him. And doing silly sounds.
I just want to grow. Just teach me how to grow your beard, man. That's what I want.
Dude, I like wake up in the morning and it's slightly longer than it was the day before. It's incredible.
This has taken me like a year, and this is how far I got.
Dude, I don't know what to say, man. I think it's Yorkshire water. That's where I'm from, man.
Okay.
That's what it is. I think it just instilled
Gotta
something
get up
in
there
me.
and get me some of that. Make my hair grow quicker, maybe as well.
Dude, so go and check Khaya's EP out, khayamusic.co.uk. And have you got social media as well?
Yeah, social media. My hashtag for my handle for everything is Khaya at Khaya.music.
At Khaya.music.
Yep,
Yeah.
at Khaya.music. So that's
Fantastic.
Instagram, that's Facebook. You'll be able to find me there.
Awesome, man. Thanks so much,
Wicked,
dude.
thanks. Yes, man.
Excellent.
Thanks, brother.
The Kind of About Music podcast.